Hello and welcome to Melomaniax, the podcast where we take unbiased deep dives into the biggest musicians and bands of all time. I'm Ashton.
And I'm Dallas. Before we get started today, do you want more weird music history, bonus episodes, and a backstage pass to the show? Hit up our Patreon at patreon.com/melomaniacs, and that's with an X. For just $5 a month, you're going to get bonus episodes, early drops, access to our Discord community, and a whole lot more. So help us keep these deep dives coming. Join the crew today. And now it's time to get into today's episode, which we've entitled Musicians in Disguise. So we had the idea to go through and find actors or people from other walks of life that you may not have known did music. And we've compiled a list here, and we're going to go through the top 10 today. I guess we shouldn't say a top 10. We're going to go through 10 of them today. They're in no particular order. And then at the end, we'll do some shout-outs to some other ones, because there's obviously a huge list, but we're just going to focus on 10 today. So why don't we just dive right in? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go. So with the starting off top of our list. Well, top of our list for what we're discussing today, we got old Bruce Willis, which is one that I only very, very recently learned that he did music. This is
same.
This is like 4 or 5 months ago. I was at it was when I took that Nicole and I took that Disney trip with my parents where Die Hard was on. We just got into conversation about Bruce Willis, and then my parents were talking about his music, and I was like, "What? Music?" Had to look it up immediately. It's crazy. So, yep, Bruce actually has we pulled up he had 2 albums.
Two albums.
Did
the
nothing.
First was pretty successful. The second one didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yep, and the first one was The Return of Bruno, which this is the one that when I went and looked it up, I went and listened to like a song or two from. It has Booker T. Jones on it, and like you said, The Temptations. Ton of huge artists you said on that one, or that he kind of brought in.
Yeah,
and that
Dan Huff on guitar, like just a bunch of studio guys that kill it.
And then we also said, notably, that released the year before Die Hard came out, so. I guess he was just trying to do everything, but then Die Hard blew up, so I guess he just was like, yep, acting, that's the path. But that actually, learning about Bruce Willis is what actually kind of led me into the second one on our list, but those two kind of went hand in hand. I found out one because of the other, essentially. Do you have anything else to talk about Bruce?
Yeah, I just didn't know... I didn't know that he did music. That kind of blew my mind. I guess it's because he had the one album, which was in 1987, and then, I mean, I guess he did technically have the second one in '89, but it didn't do anything. So it kind of was like he does music. Okay, now he doesn't do anymore. Kind of bury that, move on.
Oh, so it peaked at number 14 on the U.S. Billboard 200. That's really good.
And the thing I was thinking too is, even though it was released before Die Hard, it was probably its success, I would have to imagine, was largely due to Die Hard like coming out shortly after and blowing up. Because now we're looking back on it, 30, 40 years later, and we don't get to know the difference between like the months and the weeks,
Yeah.
So we just see like, oh, it came out before, and it's like, well, I mean, Die Hard's one of the bigger movies of all time. Like, for sure, it wasn't like a coincidence that this album came out near it and also is big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is definitely not big enough to be like, well, this is why Die Hard was big. Like, it wasn't that big. It did surprisingly well, I will say that. And actually, one of the critics that reviewed the album literally said it was surprisingly okay. That's actually pretty high praise, because that guy.
I was just about to say surprisingly okay is about how I also would describe it.
Yeah.
Like
it does say today the album is a little more than just like an interesting artifact.
Yeah. I was going to say there's like one song on there I guess you could listen to and be like, okay, this I get it.
Well, so it looks like most of them are covers, and then there's like 1 or 2 on there that are written by other people, and then there's one on there that's written by him and someone else, and that guy's name is actually Robert Kraft, which is pretty funny.
Oh, that is that is funny. For any of our football fans out there.
Yeah, Robert Kraft owns the Patriots.
Yep.
Pretty funny. Okay, Bruce Willis. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Let's move on to number 2, which was one Again, I say number 2. It's the second one. We're not doing any sort of order or anything like that.
Yeah. You guys can rank them if you'd like.
Or add which
tell us
ones
your
you
favorite.
think we've left out. Yeah, for sure. So number 2 in our episode here is Eddie Murphy.
Let's go.
One of the greatest stand-up comedy or comedians of all time. You may not know, had a few albums in the 80s. And actually, one of them was a straight-up hit.
Yeah,
and that was a song you may have heard called Party All the Time. That song was actually very big. That was 1985. And it hit number 2 in the U.S. Like, it's been platinum. Like, it's big. And he unlike Bruce, he didn't just do kind of 1 or 2 albums. He's got a decent amount of albums. And if you watch his comedy, he does like singing impressions and stuff, and you can tell like he's a super good singer.
Yeah, for sure. So that Party All the Time was written and produced by and features Rick James. So, and that hit number 2 on the Billboard 100, almost a number 1. That would have been awesome for him. When did Raw come out? I wonder, or Delirious?
I think Delirious, I want to say, was 87. Let me look it up. 87 was a big year for a lot of things. Where is it here?
83.
These are studio. Oh, it's way earlier than I thought.
Way earlier. Okay, so it was before his album. Damn, he was top of the world during this.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It looks like he did comedy for a while and then kind of moved into music.
And did music for a little while. His music is good. I definitely, from what I listened to, I would go back and listen again. Like
He's got a song with Michael Jackson. He's got a song with Snoop Dogg.
He's got good connections. Yeah, that's as far as like being able to do that. So he had an album in 85, the How Could It Be with that, and then 89, and then 93 was his last album.
93 is the one with Michael Jackson on the song What's Up With You. Also, how about the song title Put Your Mouth on Me?
Whoa.
And you know what? No chart to speak of except the R&B chart where it hit number 2.
Oh, R&B.
I know how to speak to the R&B audience. You just say the most blatant.
Yeah.
He's got a lot. I didn't know the song with Michael Jackson. That's interesting. And it looks he doesn't have albums after 93, but he does have singles he's been a part of in 13, 14, and 15.
Oh, okay.
That's 18, 13, 18, 14. Just kidding.
I think we just got an idea for your band's next single. Put Your Mouth on It.
Yep. Steel Panther has one called It Won't Suck Itself, which is great.
Yeah. Oh, that is perfect for them. All right. Good old Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. That brings us to number 3 on the list. Steve Martin.
Hey.
So Steve Martin has a lot of albums. He's primarily due to the fact that he's had a very long career. He's been around a long time.
Yeah,
he's 79 now. I think he's been doing stuff, pretty much the whole time.
I wonder, did he get his start? No, I was like, I know he was in like I'm trying to remember if he got his start at all through SNL or if he was with like a small group of other comedians. I think it was a group of comedians. Comedians always travel in packs, it seems like. You know what I mean? Steve Martin.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did SNL.
I don't think he did actually. Now that I'm looking,
it says he did make frequent appearances as a stand-up comedian on.
But that's after
Johnny Carson, Muppet Show, SNL. No, that's in the mid-70s.
Oh, that is in the mid-70s? That's when, he started.
He's appeared on 27 Saturday Night Live shows and guest hosted 16 times. He's the guy that's been on there the most other than Alec Baldwin, who's hosted 17 times.
Oh, there you go. So never,
on the show,
he was never a...
This is insane. On the show, he popularized the air quotes gesture. So that comes from Steve Martin.
Really? No way. That is awesome.
That's insane.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I don't think he was a cast member, but he was like on it all the time.
Yeah, he was never a resident on the show, but seems like they would just bring him in all the time.
That's crazy. So he first picked up the banjo. He's a banjo player. For those that don't know, he does bluegrass music.
No way.
He's really, really good too. He picked that up around 17.
I just looked at, of course, we're here for music, but Steve Martin's earliest thing that got him into everything was magician. He was a magician at Disneyland before he was a comedian.
That fits. He looks like he'd be a magician.
Right? I was like, just any kind of stage presence. Like, being a magician's got to be the number one because you're just fucking up, fumbling in the beginning, messing up, and you just got to play it off, maybe make it funny, you know, like comedian or magicians always seem to have a little bit of comedy. So that goes hand in hand. But interesting thing with this is like kind of an opposite effect of our previous couple we talked about where they did music and went into acting. Martin did comedy, ton of acting, and didn't. He does have an out. Oh no, 2009. Yep, 2009 is his first musical album. So he started doing music towards the tail end of his career. Although I'm sure he's been playing the whole time, but he didn't start actually releasing albums. And the very first album he released in 2009 was The Crow, New Songs for the 5-String Banjo. So that is what he does. He plays banjo, bluegrass. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah, it says, and he's super, super good.
Yeah, he is.
It says he used to take 33 RPM bluegrass records and slow them down to 16, so about half, and tune his banjo down so the notes would sound the same. So this is where he was able to kind of slowly pick out each note and perfect his playing and style over time. So, and then he had a lot of years of just playing for fun before he ever tried to make albums or do anything like that. So by the time he came out with that, he was already like killing it.
You've listened to a couple of his songs, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know bluegrass isn't exactly like what we're rushing to our radios for, as they would say, but I've listened to a couple and I really enjoy it. Also, you bought a banjo recently. You want to talk about that instrument? That thing's wild.
Yeah, banjo's difficult. It's a pretty difficult instrument to learn, mostly because there's so much going on with the right hand.
Finger picking.
With what they call banjo rolls. There's different like patterns you do and stuff. And then bluegrass typically is very, very fast. So it's an extremely difficult thing to learn. This is pretty funny. On the Billboard 200, all of his albums came out real low. And then on the U.S. Bluegrass chart, they're all number one.
All number one. That's awesome. I mean,
it's like, well, there can't be that many bluegrass albums for starters, but
that is a good thing for the charts where, like, you know, bluegrass isn't going to compete with the Hot 100, you know, like, so it's cool that like it has its own space to see like how popular it was within its genre. But yeah, you're not ever going to top like pop charts with your stuff with bluegrass. Sorry. Although I don't think Steve Martin really truly cares about that. I think bluegrass is right, yeah. I was like, I think bluegrass is a passion project. I don't think you head out of high school, Dad, I'm gonna be a famous bluegrass musician. I'm gonna make millions. You know what I mean? I don't think it works like that. I could be wrong.
Probably not. Yeah. So he started that album came out in 2009, the first one. Yep. And he had a string of albums. And then after 2017, he doesn't have one. So taking a little time off, I guess, in his golden years.
Yeah, I guess so. But man, that's awesome.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yes, sir.
This will be our number 4, and that is Seth MacFarlane. You may know him as the creator and a Family Guy and American Dad and all those shows, and he also does most of the voices on those shows as well. He used to do a lot of the writing. I don't think he does that really anymore.
Oh, does he? Did he take a step back from that?
I think he hadn't done that for years and years and years. He just has writers and teams.
Does he still get listed as a producer? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a producer. Yeah, it's his show.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he just comes in and goes, "What am I saying?" Okay.
He kind of like
maybe has a few notes, you know.
He's at that point where like you're an entrepreneur, you start your business, you do all the work all the hours, the shifts and stuff in the beginning, and then eventually get your team in. So now he's got.
I don't know if you knew this, but he created the characters, the art. He drew the characters originally. So
he drew them too.
Yep. Yeah, he does art as well. Yep.
I didn't know he drew them. But basically, that was like a passion project thing. He full started Family Guy, and then it would make sense to eventually get to a point where like I've been writing the show for this many years. Like, you know, the kind of jokes that work, you kind of know the flow. Like, yeah, you can definitely delegate that. It's got to be nice. And he does a lot. But let's talk about this music. He's got a lot of albums actually. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 albums. And you and I have been on board since the first one, since his debut album.
Since day one of the debut. Yep.
Yep, I remember you showed me this one because we loved Family Guy, and you were like, dude, did you know Seth MacFarlane had an album come out? And man, we listened to the hell out of that album, or at least I did.
Yeah, for sure. So his style, if you don't know, he sings kind of a swing style, like Frank Sinatra style. He was actually trained by a similar, if not the exact same, vocal coach. And that's pretty cool. So he's got that kind of style. If you've seen Family Guy and you've seen the songs they kind of do in that, it's basically that. He has the full orchestra in the studio and stuff. It's really cool music. Yeah, it's like a modern Sinatra.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely like that modern Sinatra sound. I guess maybe to rival Michael Bublé type stuff. Essentially nowadays, Michael's a little different. Seth is way more like classical when it comes to that like specific style and genre. But I know that Music is Better Than Words. That's his debut. We said that one is really good. I like almost every song off that. I think that one starts off with "It's Anybody's Spring." I always like that one. Yeah, here's the track listing. Yep, "It's Anybody's Spring." Right into "Music is Better Than Words." Those ones are great. Anytime, Anywhere. Just, that whole album's good. And then the Christmas, he just had a Christmas album come out with, it has a duet with someone. Elizabeth Gillies. Yeah. We Wish You the Merriest. What was his follow-up?
He's got two of the albums are Christmas. And he's got Norah Jones on some tracks. He's got a lot of cool people featuring on tracks throughout these albums.
That's right. In Full Swing once in a while. Great. Where's the other one that I think it was Blue Skies? All right. There's the second one that I listened to a lot of as well. But I didn't know he had so many come out. So I need to get on my Seth MacFarlane grind. Goodness. Oh, dude, he recorded one of them at Abbey Road. That's awesome.
That makes sense. They have the full orchestra space there.
Oh, I don't know anything about the actual that would be a cool episode. Talk about all the different famous recording studios.
Yeah, I like that.
Actually, because I don't know a whole lot about them. I actually have very little info, but it seems like you seem to know your venues and recording studios pretty well after all the reading and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be cool to compile that list and know that I'd like to. It'd be cool in doing that episode, breaking down the differences, like what would going to one studio over another, other than what label and stuff, but what does one studio offer? For example, Abbey Road offering a whole orchestra space is pretty sweet. I don't think every recording studio can offer that. So,
just depends on the size of the studio. Yeah,
I was just about to say Abbey Road must be pretty big then.
I think it's pretty big. Yeah, I haven't ever been there, but
that's interesting because you've spent a lot of time in the UK. Where is Abbey Road though? In the UK, outskirts of London, probably, or is it in?
I think it's on the northern side, maybe near let me look it up.
Yeah, it's
Abbey Road.
I know it wasn't when I was in London. I know it wasn't close enough for us to just swing by, if that makes sense, from where we were. Yeah, it is up north. Yeah, because we stayed down by the river. We were almost right on the river.
Yeah,
we were south side of the river.
It's almost kind of out of the city almost.
Yeah, we were on the opposite side of the city from it, so I didn't get to go see it. Although it's damn, dude, you probably go, there's huge crowds there. I don't like to take pictures with tons of people in my pictures, so I wouldn't even take a picture 100%. There, honestly.
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool.
You said you were on the south side of the river, or you were on the river?
Yeah, I was south side of the river. I don't know exactly where.
Lambeth and stuff.
Yeah, so.
Did you go to Camden?
I don't think so.
Camden Market and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy area.
We were only in London for a day, so I need to go back and spend a week there.
Ooh, a week. That's a lot.
Well, a week, I think, is all I can afford to spend there. It'd be hard to convince Nicole to be in London for a week with Scotland right there.
I can't imagine doing more than 1 or 2 days, and I'd be like, all right, I get it. Like,
Give me my American shit.
you start seeing enough stuff in enough places, and you're eventually like, you know what? I've seen this before. Like, not exactly this, but I've seen this. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. It's a city. There's cool stuff. Let's
Yeah.
go.
We'd probably just end up going up to Scotland after a day or two again. Because we have friends to stay with up there, but yeah, back to the music. I bet he went to Abbey probably just a kind of as like a mark that off the like the list of like a
Well, I would
is the
imagine
word?
he's probably so I know one thing about Family Guy, and he was always a stickler for this, is they always use a full orchestra for the entire music for Family Guy for every season. So I'd be willing to bet he'd spent a lot of time in Abbey Road before ever singing in it.
That would make sense. His first two.
I don't know if they did those there, if they did all the, because they could easily do them in LA. But
Yeah, I was gonna say his first two.
I would be willing to bet he's been there before.
His first album, the two studios he worked in was a Hollywood and a New York City, and those two are big enough for orchestras for sure. Avatar Studios in New York and Capitol Studios in Hollywood. So
Capitol definitely has
Yeah.
a lot of the Hollywood ones have orchestra because they do so much film scoring stuff. The New York ones are probably where he did the vocals, if I had to guess.
yeah, that would make sense.
What is it? Avatar Studios?
Yeah, Avatar Studios.
Let's see, because there's definitely some big ones there.
It's at Berkeley, I think.
Oh, Berkeley, NYC, yeah. Because Berkeley's in New York, Boston. It's now changed its name to Power Station.
Oh,
Interesting. Yeah, there's a gigantic live room in this one. Jeez. Well, maybe it's not as big as I thought. That's
Yeah.
the thing about recording studios is even when they look really big, you get in them, you're like, oh, this is super small. Like, that's pretty sweet.
yeah, that's good. Random thing. I watched Donnie Darko for the first time, and it was just like doing the opening credits because Nicole put it on, and John Williams wrote the music. I always get so happy when I see John Williams' name pop up. We were talking about orchestra, so that made me think of it. But let's
John Williams did Donnie Darko?
yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was like, I had no clue. So
I didn't know that either.
Anyway,
We're moving on to the next one here, and that is Keanu Reeves, who has his band Dogstar, in which he plays bass.
Yep. And
So everyone else so far has been kind of a singer. Keanu Reeves is a bassist.
swapping up, and
That
that's
fits
just
his personality too. He's a bass player as a person.
oh, for sure. He's a Canadian actor and musician.
Now we should say, and I don't know if I mentioned it already, but his band is called Dogstar.
What year did
They're an
they
alternative
get
rock
together?
band. They formed in 1994 in Los Angeles.
That's right.
So there's drummer Robert Mailhouse and guitarist, lead vocalist Brett Domrose, who previously played bass with the Nuns. He joined in 94, replacing founding member Greg Miller in 95 to become the vocalist. So he I guess joined his guitar. There were 4 of them. And then he was like, I'll just do the vocals as well. And then they became a 3-piece, and they've been that since 95. They actually just had an album come out not too long ago.
I see that here. Yeah, it says looks like they broke up for a bit, had a reunion tour, and then put out a new album, and they're touring
Yeah,
again.
so their albums came out in 96, 2000, and 2023.
Sounds like they had to take 20 years off for Keanu's acting career.
Yeah,
That's all right.
exactly.
Yeah. They did the
So,
first
guys,
album.
I'm freaking John Wick. Relax.
They did.
I'll be there when I'm there.
Yeah, they did the first album and then Matrix, and like, all right, hold on, guys. Sorry, I'm blowing up. Then they did the next album, and then all right, hold on, guys. I gotta finish out the career that Matrix got me. And then, all right, boys, I did it all. We're on like John Wick 8, so we can get back to music.
Yeah.
Or 4. I think there's 4 John Wicks. I haven't seen a single one, but
There are 4. They're pretty good.
yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
As far as
about
action
them.
movies, they're one of the better ones for sure.
Yeah, I think they're better because
Because it doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. You know, action movies are always like, it's just an excuse to be silly and goofy and fun.
Yeah.
But they always try to be like, but it's about family, or like, you know, whatever.
serious. His
And
is
this is not that. This is just like, look how many people I can kill in creative ways.
okay. That is it. I was like, it takes like what people really want to see in an action movie, throws the storyline out, and just puts action in.
Dude, the main
Instead.
storyline, the reason he kills and goes on this murderous rampage is because somebody kills his dog in the first one. And in the second one, I think it's just they steal his car or something. Like it's like just little funny little catalysts, and then he just goes on a crazy rampage.
Yeah, I've seen the clip where like the dude like kills his dog, and he's like, "Whose dog?" Like that was he killed John Wick's dog, and then the dude is all like scared, like, "Oh, dude, you don't even know what you did."
Yeah, they call him the boogeyman.
Yeah, I gotta go watch that.
Yeah, it's good. The guy that kills his dog is Theon from Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I do remember.
Now it's a
that.
little deeper than that. Like his wife had passed away, I think, and the dog was the last gift she gave him. Like, so he kind of saw her and the dog. So it gets a little deeper than that, but it's not just like some dog. But
yeah.
so it kind of you kind of understand it, like the way they set it up. It's not like a silly movie, but it's not also trying to be like overly deep. It's just kind of like, look at that cool karate kick. But yeah, they're good. I have not seen the fourth one. I've seen all the other three. They're good, like airplane movies. Okay, so Dogstar, yeah, they have good stuff. I listened to their new album a bit when it came out. I don't know if they tour or anything like that. That's got to be the hard part.
He said they're touring right now, but I can't imagine how much they were able to tour with Keanu's career. That's got to feel bad. I wonder what the other two guys do outside of music. Like
that's what I was thinking. It's kind of like, oh, we're the bass player's band. Like he doesn't even really sing.
Yeah, like you.
It never happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say it all kind of rotates around Keanu, I guess, at the end of the day, because. But and their shows and stuff have got to be carried by his name alone. Like for live audiences.
100%.
So the other two just probably aren't like doing amazingly like financially, but I'm sure Keanu helps pick that end up a little bit with their shows. Mm-hmm.
They're probably doing pretty good, but yeah, it's just because one of the more famous actors is in their band.
No
100%.
way! Look at this. Dogstar had several opening acts that went on to become notable, such as Rancid and Weezer.
Nice.
I had no clue Weezer opened for Dogstar back in the day.
That fits the sound. All those bands kind of fit together.
That
is a little more punk.
That is true, but it's crazy that they like Weezer opened for Dogstar.
Not only that, but it was their very first gig.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so cool. I like that. Fact. All right, I think that's it on Keanu.
That's it on Keanu. We're moving on the list to Zooey Deschanel. Some of you may know she does music, but her band, I don't think they still do stuff, is called She and Him. And that's not to be confused with a different band called He and She.
What?
So She and Him, it was just a duo. Zooey Deschanel, and M. Ward was guitar and production on that project. That's the Him. Zoe did vocals, piano, and ukulele. Formed in Portland, just the most Portland band you've ever heard, for sure. But they have a nice, sweet little sound. I don't think they've done anything in a while. But yeah, they actually had a tribute album come out in 2022, a Christmas album come out in 2016. But their main stuff was like 2008, 2010. They had another Christmas album in 2011.
Dude, that the Classics 2014 album, that cover looks like a White Stripes cover.
Yeah, it kind of does. I remember that one.
Volume 1, Volume 2. I'm not sure if I've heard Zooey Deschanel songs, but I don't think I've actually heard anything from She and Him. She has like an occasional song or two on soundtracks for movies she's in. Like I always knew she could sing. I actually
it sounds
didn't
like that.
know about
it's
her
kind of soft indie kind of sound.
I figured that's just like her wheelhouse, anyways.
Yeah, it's really nice. I don't remember specific songs, but I remember one of my cousins was really into this group.
So she does lead vocals, tambourine, piano, and ukulele.
There you go.
And he did, the guitar, backing vocals, piano, production. So she does is it duet and singing, or she basically is the only singer? And
she's basically the only singer from what I remember.
Okay. So
He may do harmonies or something. I don't know. I don't know their
that's what it sounds
discography
like.
in and out. But
Yeah, it sounds like I thought it was like a duet of singing and not. So she's like primary singing. He plays guitar and does backup. Okay. It really is just the most indie
and I
group.
think she was. I think this band, from what I remember, because I was actually around for this time, on like the when we were talking about Bruce Willis. I remember she was not like a household name or like a big deal when this band was coming out. They were she kind of did this and her acting career at the same time, and they were both kind of like nothing at the same time, and then they kind of rose at the same time together. I remember that vaguely. I mean, she was an Elf, which would have been before this first album for sure, so she wasn't like unknown. Elf was like 2003, right?
I think so. And I think that was like one of her biggest roles, if not her. Like
she was also in Yes Man, wasn't she? The love interest in Yes Man with Jim Carrey.
I think so.
Let's see. Yeah, Zooey Deschanel. What does she look like? I remember she looked different in this one. Yeah. She's like, I mean, that was like her movie. Like it's him and she's number 2, like on the call sheet under Jim Carrey. That was a fun movie. I remember watching that and being like, oh, that's the girl from Elf, and I didn't recognize her because she was brunette, and in Elf she's blonde. So yeah, she'd done some stuff for sure, but this is pre New Girl, which is I think what one of the things that really blew her up into being just a massive household name.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Yep, Yes Man. I knew her from Failure to Launch, Bridge to Terabithia, Elf, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. She was in Our Idiot Brother. That's right. It's not even like she's been in a ton of stuff, but like Elf is, yeah, I'd got to say Elf is her biggest movie, right? And I don't know. I still watch Elf every year.
Elf's one of the biggest movies. It's probably the biggest Christmas movie, right? One of them.
Right? That's why I was like, that's got to be her biggest role ever. And then New Girl obviously became her bread and butter throughout, those years. But
yeah, that was huge.
I actually love her Baby It's Cold Outside, heard with Leon Redbone, I think, or Leon. Yeah. Anyways, her duet of that song is like my favorite Christmas song. Love that version. So
she was married to Ben Gibbard from oh god, what was his band? Remind me. Death Cab for Cutie. And then right now she's with one of the Property Brothers. She's been with him for a while. So that's pretty funny. Being with an adult twin has to be crazy. Moving on.
Ooh.
I forget what number we're on now.
We're on
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Mark Wahlberg.
I'm over here on Marky Mark.
So a lot of us know Mark Wahlberg for his career as an actor when he was older. When he was much younger, he was a rapper.
Yeah.
Wasn't he with New Kids or something? How did that work? Or was it just fully its own thing?
It might have been fully its own thing because he was all music first. So we had Music for the People release. Yep. And that came out 91 platinum in the US. Nice. And then he had an album the next year in 92. Okay. I didn't know he only had 2 albums. But I always was like, he's pretty big. Like musically, I always thought he was. Damn, the Funky Bunch that's a big bunch of people.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That is a rap group right there. That's a lot. What is on this? So Good Vibrations being the hit single from that lead album. What did that hit on the Billboard? Let's see. Looking up these charts.
This is crazy. It says this is before the group's formation. Mark Wahlberg, the lead MC of the group, was imprisoned for beating a Vietnamese man in April 1988. The way they word that makes it sound like it's illegal. Or it makes it sound like the problem is the guy's race. And it's like, well, what were they doing? Like, what was going on?
Yeah.
I don't have enough information, but the Vietnamese should not be a part of that sentence. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
During what year did it say?
That's not good.
What year?
1988. Guess he had somewhat of a rough childhood.
was like, well, Vietnam shit was way earlier than that. So I guess, yeah, I don't know why that would come up. Anyways, what I was saying with the Good Vibrations hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100. So he got a number one single in his debut album. So that's cool. So that's why I guess people would be, oh, dude, he had Lou Reed wrote this Wild Side song for him. That's cool. And that was
Nice.
number 10 on the top, or on Billboard. So he had two top 10s on that debut album, Music for the People. But then it does not look like this second album, the follow-up album, did hot. It doesn't look like a single, there wasn't a single on this one. And then that's, I guess, the hop to acting. Because I don't really know what his first films were either. And around what time.
I don't remember either. I don't know much of his career. I've seen a couple of his movies, but I don't know much of his career really.
Let's see. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, that's right. It was Donnie Wahlberg that was New Kids on the Block. He was part of New Kids.
Okay.
That's where I was confusing. And I think Marky Mark did like guest on a song or something.
Okay, so he started doing movies in 93, which is right after his two albums. Okay. So he did two albums and then he went into acting. Gotcha. Okay. I think I've only heard I can't think of it or how it goes, but I think I've only heard his Good Vibrations song. But I can't think of it right now, or like how it goes. But I know I've heard it at least once. But
that's crazy.
So he had a short little music career. All right. Next was one that shocked me that you were telling me about.
We're on number 8, right?
Yep.
That's John Stamos.
Johnny.
So this one surprised me too. I was watching a roast. I need to figure out what this was.
Oh, like whose roast it was?
Yeah. Okay, it was called 2024, the roast of like 2024, the year.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. So, all right, it's hard to pull up any kind of, he doesn't have like a discography, essentially.
No, because he just like does music. I don't know if he's put out albums or anything like that, but the reason I brought up the roast is he was the drummer for it.
For the band? Yeah.
And like, they had like a house band. He was the drummer for it, and he was like the musical director and all this stuff. And I was watching him play drums, and he was doing so good. I was like, guy looks a lot like John Stamos, but there's no way John Stamos is that good at drums. And then it was him. He was that good at drums.
So I just pulled up part of his music history. Stamos has occasionally performed in concert with the Beach Boys dating back to 1985, typically playing drums and various other percussion instruments. So he's like an unofficial Beach Boy.
That's crazy.
He plays congas, steel drums. He also plays guitar and sings. And he's been doing music the entire time he's had his acting career. So this is a true, like, he doesn't have albums, but like and it's not just like, oh yeah, I play guitar or like I play drums. Like he actively does, like, actually performs music all the time. It's just he's very low key. Ooh, John Stamos performed with John Fogerty on April 24th, 2010 at a Tampa Bay Rays post concert or a post game concert. Nice.
Tampa Bay Rays. That's crazy.
Yeah, just randomly. Yeah, it's like he has all these just random like musical appearances like throughout his career, like just with random people doing random things either on guitar or drums. Mainly drums. It seems like that's his go-to instrument. However, there's still plenty of pictures of him holding a guitar up on
Yeah,
the
I mean, I'm
mic.
sure he's great at that too. The thing is, like, yeah, with some of these guys, it's like some people. I think if you're an actor, you're a bad actor, or whatever, you think, oh, I'll go over here and do this or whatever. That can be a little offensive to musicians who spend their whole life doing music, and then you just come in and you kind of suck, but you're famous, so it works.
Yeah.
That's when musicians will get mad at you. But yeah, watching him, I was just like, this guy's a serious musician. Like he's not. And again, he hadn't done a bunch of albums or anything, but he was like professional level of what he was doing. And he was the band leader as well, so he was running things. Like that's a different skill set. That's like a totally separate skill set. Most bands will have an MD. Sometimes it's the main guy is the MD. Other times it's someone else. Or like for example, if you're Justin Timberlake and you have your band, like his bass player is his MD. Usually it's a keyboard player, but they're the one that'll like map out the harmonies and tell everybody like, all right, here's what we're doing. They're kind of the boss of the band. Because Justin Timberlake's not going to be the boss of the band. He's going to show up for the last second and leave at the first second, like because that's just how their schedules work. So you got to have someone else that actually does all the rehearsals and stuff before Justin comes in. Just to keep using that example, and that's the role this guy was playing. John Stamos was playing for this. No, it was obviously just a little one-off roast thing, but it was still really cool to see.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got to be good enough at drums because Drumeo brought him on, and Drumeo does not just bring on like anybody.
But again, you got to imagine Drumeo going like, "We got to get John Stamos on." You imagine the clicks we're gonna get. Like you have to think of things through that filter these days. It's never about how good someone is. That's not. They may be very good, they may not, but it has almost nothing to do with it now, which is a little bit frustrating. But it's much more about like, oh, could you imagine the clicks we'll get if we get this massive A-list act? You know what I mean?
That's true. They still have to be able to play somewhat well enough for their video, though. Although editing,
yeah,
would
but
be nice.
that bar can be flexible if you're a huge name.
Yeah.
Like I was watching, this blew my mind. Megan Maroney, she's like absolutely blowing up in the country space, and she's extremely pretty. And I saw a clip of her live, and I was like, "What what?" Like, it just sounded actively bad, and I was like, "This is blowing my mind right now." It wasn't just me; most of the comments were saying that too. And I was like, "That is insane," because I never actually heard her sing, and I was like, "That is insane to me that she's blowing up that much and struggling that hard to carry a tune live." It's like, man.
Yeah, that's
pretty face, man. Wish I had one. Jesus.
Yeah, sometimes not all. I've never understood that, but there's definitely that's been a thing throughout the years, though, where like some people aren't good live, and I'm like, how the fuck did they get there? Like, I don't know.
In the studio, all the nice engineers and producers, but even like them, I could tell you exactly how, because I've done it.
Well, I'm saying like, but how did they even get picked up to begin with?
Because I've listened to live
stuff of Bruce Springsteen, his early live recordings, and like you would listen and just be like, all right. But they listened and they were like, oh dude, a star is born. And I listened and I'm like, I mean, this is what I'd expect.
Don't get it, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
everybody hears different stuff. That's fair. You might hear someone amazing and be like, I don't like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's valid.
Not that Bruce is bad. His stuff is good. Like the recordings, I mean, you definitely would have.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Bruce at all.
If his recordings would have came in, you would have been like, thank God it's not like awful. But like also you listen to it and I'm like, you listen and you're like, it's not a flawless performance, anything like that. Like I just, there's been, who is it? There's a country artist. He does the song Springsteen.
Oh, that's Eric Church. Yeah.
He's not good live. Or at least really? the live performances, one or two that I've seen, were not good. And those could have been those could have been a specific. He could have been heavy on tour, voice wasn't right, but the live performances I've heard of him, his voice is it's shaky. He's not able to stay consistent. Things like that. But his recorded works are amazing. Studio albums, awesome. Live performances they're a little they're just not quite as refined as you'd want them to be. And that's what I'm saying. Some people can work well in a studio setting and the live isn't that great, I guess. But I don't know. But anyways. Yeah,
it's insane. So that's funny you mentioned Eric Church like that, though, because I saw a video pop up on Instagram the other day where he has a bar in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And he dropped in to celebrate like the anniversary of it. And he was singing a song. And I was watching this video and I was like, he sounds like shit. Like maybe he's just drunk or like, but I didn't really. Now you're saying he's has trouble live anyway, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Maybe that's just a thing. I don't know.
That's just from my own personal. It might not be a thing, but anytime I've seen his live performances, and it's been about 2 or 3, and every time I left like, I'm not sure how much I'm digging it. I'm gonna keep listening to the studio stuff.
Yeah, but to me, and I feel like to other people too. But and it's part of being a musician, I guess. But you see stuff and you're just like, I don't understand. I cannot compute how that is as maybe it could be successful, but I can't compute how it's that successful. Zach Bryan's a good example for me. Selling out football stadiums across the world in like a snap of a finger. Like the show goes live, 80,000 seats are sold, internet crashes. And I listen to his music and I'm just like, I wouldn't see this for free. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but this fucking sucks. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm missing. Everyone else is getting this but me. And I do phrase it that way, not to say he's bad, even though I just did. But that's not what I mean, really. I'm just saying, like, I'm not getting it. Something's not getting with me. So, and that's true with a lot of artists, And it's typically true of big famous artists because they're the ones most shoved down your throat. And the more I get into the music industry myself, the more I see that machine. And I pull back the curtain on that machine and I see that the quote I heard the other day that hit me so hard was hit songs are not made, they're marketed. So if you think of any hit song and why that's the quote best song on the album, it's because they put $1 billion behind that song to make you think, hey, that's the best song on the album. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's rare that think about how many like of your favorite songs may not be the hit song. Like that's typically rarer for most people than the hit ones because that's what was, shoved down their throats.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The same reason you buy, I don't know, Charmin toilet paper instead of another toilet paper because that's the one because it was the one that was paid so much money to tell you about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. But yeah, it's crazy to think that because we want to think like, oh, it's just so natural. He just sat down and wrote this brilliant song and then it just hit me perfectly in my life at this time. And it's just all so serendipitous. And there's a multi-trillion-dollar marketing machine behind this, fabricating every part of that process and making it happen. And we don't want to believe that's true because that's not a sexy thing to say. But that is exactly what's happening. So, and then, you get to the point where some people have the dollars, some people don't, and that's the difference, and that sucks. Like if you put, Taylor Swift's marketing budget behind a no-name artist, like they would be Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy to think that because no one wants to believe that. There's only one Taylor Swift. It's like, well, she was made by a marketing machine. So was every other band you've ever liked. It's like, yeah, there is a creative element, of course, but it's probably like 20 to 80%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like if you just turn the budget of Taylor Swift, that, Eye of Sauron's beam of light on Taylor Swift, if you just turn that to another artist, you would see similar results, and that's crazy. And not to say it'd be the exact same, because it would probably be different. It's not to take anything away from her success either, but it's just a crazy just a crazy world.
It's
money does everything.
It's part of the equation, and you can't leave it out. Basically,
not only is it part though, it's the majority part.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. I think we're on number 9 now.
I believe so.
With Johnny
Depp and the Hollywood Vampires, or just
his band's the Hollywood Vampires.
Vampires.
It's like a bunch of it's like a conglomerate of people.
The big three.
Alice Cooper's in it. Joe Perry's in it. Like it's got a bunch of people from all kinds of stuff. Matt Sorum and Duff McKagan from Guns have toured with them. Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots. There's been guest musicians on their albums. They have 2 albums, like Paul McCartney, Dave Grohl, Joe Walsh, Christopher Lee. We're going to talk about in a second. There's they do a lot of stuff. Now, is their music good? I haven't heard any good stuff, I'll be honest. But it's just like a A-list celebrity supergroup, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. It's like celebrities and musicians and like the most famous
I think
among
it's
them.
A scarf wearing contest myself.
Yeah, it does look like that, actually. There are so many scarves on stage.
You show up with 8 scarves around your neck and Johnny's showing up with 9. You're not going to beat him.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy's got 12 pounds of jewelry hanging off his wrists.
His look is so funny. Just Johnny Depp's in general. Ugh. Yeah, so I was gonna say it looks like the big three, at least from the Wikipedia, is Joe Perry and Alice Cooper seemed and Johnny. Those seem to be like the core three that it keeps
Yeah.
talking about. But yeah, here's a picture of with 8 guys on stage. So
Yeah.
so there's 7 or 8 dudes, and so like you said, it's an endlessly rotating. Listed as members as Alice Cooper, Johnny Depp, Joe Perry, and Tommy Henriksen as like the official members.
And the first album, they have 2 albums, one in 2015, one in 2019. The first album has guest appearances by, other than the ones I mentioned, Slash, Brian Johnson, Perry Farrell's on it, Zach Starkey, Robbie Krieger, Orianthi, a bunch of people. It just seems like a A-list project. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for
hey,
sure.
I'm really famous. Why don't we do something with that and then also get all my famous friends on? It'll be super fun. You know, it seems like that kind of project.
And it looks like a
they're
bunch
kind
of
of just
covers.
old school,
Also,
like rock stuff. Yeah, the track listing, I'm not sure. Let's see. No, it's it's some original stuff.
whole lot of love. Jimi Hendrix,
And
Manic
some covers, too,
Depression.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that was like there's some covers on here by super notable people too. So that's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, Pete Townsend or Townsend song. Here's a John Lennon song. Here's a Jimi Hendrix song. Here's a Paul McCartney song. Yeah, like we said, a Led Zeppelin song. So they do some big name stuff, and then bring some big name guests in, and the whole thing, like you said, the whole thing is just this. We're all famous and can do whatever we want type vibes. But I've not listened to any of their music, so I cannot vouch for what they sound like. So that we got to take your word for it. Oh, here we go. Here's the timeline of people that have been in it. So Duff and Matt both came in at the same time, and then Duff was out pretty quickly, probably after the one tour, and then it looks like Matt probably stayed. So Matt was there for a little over a year. Duff was there for like 5 months, it looks like. Glenn Sobel has been in it for most of the time with a little break. Those are the only 2 names I knew down there.
Dude, am I crazy or is
I'm
this
not gonna worry
key
about
terrible? Like the color
Oh yeah, it's
bass
awful.
isn't even
awful.
bass isn't even on. What is going on here? Like what is the tan color?
It's never
not even on
it's
here.
never used these colors before. Isn't that wild? Like
It just has a ton of colors on the actual chart, and then the key has most of those colors not even in it. Like
listed, yeah. Usually it's a different color scheme, so I don't know what's going on over here.
also, they shouldn't add backing vocals to everyone. It makes it really hard to see. It's like
Yeah.
we get it. Everybody sings. Just say that.
Yeah, everyone does that.
I mean, you'll come up and say, "Hey," and get a credit for backing vocals. It's like, come on, man. Brad Whitford from Aerosmith also in it for a tiny little bit. Shortest time of anyone, actually.
Yeah, I was
He's like,
like-
you know what? I play with Joe enough. I'm good.
Yeah.
Glenn Sobel, drummer. He was in it for a while. Looks like Matt just replaced him for a little bit, and then he came back.
Yep, it was just oh yeah, that is exactly what happened. He just literally stepped in for that guy to take a break.
Buck Johnson. If that guy's not a NASCAR driver, I don't know what's what.
Duff stepped in just to give who is playing bass in the band normally?
Dude, bass is not listed here. Oh, it's blue. I see it.
Bruce Whitkins, it looks like. Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, dude. It
Yep,
doesn't make any
it's like
sense. Anyway,
Bruce Whitkin, and then it goes to Chris something, but I don't even know.
so it's
why.
just kind of a who's who of rock, and they
essentially.
come and go. And if you live in LA, you're good. You just jump on board.
All right, I like this last one.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, so the last one, another surprise person you may not know did music, Christopher Lee. You may know him as, he's a very famous English actor. He's been around forever. He died not too long ago in his 90s. I knew him as Count Dooku from Star Wars and Saruman from Lord of the Rings. You might know him as other stuff.
Yeah, that's
But he does music. He sings, and he does like metal, like symphonic, like power metal. It's pretty
opera
crazy.
metal, yeah, in a way almost. Yeah, just like just straight up heavy metal stuff, you know. That one was the most shocking to me. Of
Not
all
only that,
you-
but he didn't really start doing that until like he was in his 90s.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that's another thing is he was old as we would say outside of the show, old as balls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, how cool to be in your 90s and be like, you know what?
I do metal now.
Aren't you 90? Yeah, that's not going to stop me at all.
How metal is that, though?
Yeah, that's the most metal.
How metal is doing metal in your 90s? I listened to a little bit. We both put on a little bit before it started. It's not like the best singing you've ever heard. Like we said, it sounds like Saruman shouting spells from the top of his tower over metal music.
It does, yeah.
Which, you know what? If that's what you're in the market for, bro, this is it for you. I was gonna say I didn't hate it. It was like kind of cool. But like hearing that voice just makes me think straight Lord of the Rings. It's so hard to get that out of my head. You know what I mean? Like especially the way he like sings. It really is just like Saruman with over
it's
a beat.
It's just his voice, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, we encourage you to check out all 10 of those, and we're going to quickly go through the honorable mentions here. There's quite a few, so we won't spend as much time talking about them. But again, no particular order. We like all these people. We like a lot of their music. So we got Ewan McGregor from, we knew him growing up as Obi-Wan in Star Wars. He's done a lot of stuff. Check out the movie Moulin Rouge. He sings a nice Elton John cover in that. What else you got?
I was going to give a shout out to Jason and Travis Kelce, the football players who do the Philly Special Christmas albums. Mainly just Jason. Travis just usually features on a track or two, but it's Jason and two other offensive linemen, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. I think they just released their third Christmas album.
Yeah,
this
they
year?
do Christmas albums. Yeah, Jason's singing is really funny. He's basically just shouting.
Yeah, they're not good singers. They do it for more of a charity event, sales and things like that. It's like a special
It's fun.
charity
Yeah,
thing
I have a
for
lot
Philly.
of I have a lot of them. Yeah.
But I enjoy them, and I just want to give them a little shout out.
Yeah, we wrote David Hasselhoff. What's he do?
He did a ton of singing in the albums that blew up in was it Germany? I think it's Germany. He's like one of those
German.
dudes.
Yeah, I think he's German.
Well, it's like all of his albums, like he has like no musical success in America, but internationally, he's like this huge music star. It's hilarious.
That's crazy.
Like no one knows him for music in America. It's like David Hasselhoff that like, you know, from what was it? The beach show that he was in.
Baywatch?
Baywatch. Yeah, that's like what he's known for in America, you know what I mean? And then like if you go internationally, like he's like a music pop star in Germany. It's hilarious.
That's wild.
But
we added
he did some music.
We added Hugh Jackman, who does a lot of he grew up in kind of the stage world, stage plays and things like that, doing musical theater and things like that. So you may have seen him do some singing, but he's a great singer.
He just did
Jeremy Renner.
Real quick,
Go ahead on Hugh.
Hugh just did that one movie, The Greatest Show.
The Greatest Showman, yeah.
Yeah, so
that was a while ago now, but yeah.
That kind of fits in with that in a way.
Yep. So if you want to hear him sing, just listen to The Greatest Showman. I think he's the main character in that, and he sings a lot in that soundtrack. Good stuff too. Jeremy Renner, he's Hawkeye in Avengers, and obviously a bunch of other stuff. I think he's in one of the Mission Impossibles across from Tom Cruise. Anyway, he's got like a rock song. He's actually a pretty good singer, and he does like more on the rock side of things, which was kind of fun. Have you heard his song? I think he has a couple actually.
I haven't. I'll have to go listen to that one.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Here's two I added they're both from Game of Thrones. I think I'm saying his name right. Iwan Rheon. He plays Ramsay in Game of Thrones. You know, the horrible guy everyone hates, but he's got a really nice few albums that are kind of indie acoustic stuff, really nice, really good stuff. And then Raleigh Ritchie, who is the musician, like stage name for the guy that plays Grey Worm. And he's got really nice, like polished pop type stuff. Stormzy's on a track. Really cool. Really cool music from the two of them from Game of Thrones.
Following that, we got shout out to Kevin Bacon, who I don't know. Is this a singing one? I don't know.
Kevin Bacon,
this is one
I think
you
does sing and play guitar.
I was gonna say this is one you added. I wasn't exactly sure. Oh yeah, he does some singing. Oh, he's got songs that have come out like recently too.
Yeah, the Bacon Brothers.
The Bacon Brothers. I didn't even know he had a brother.
Yeah, that would suck to be Kevin Bacon's brother.
Travis Bacon, that's his name.
That is so funny to me if that's his name.
Travis Bacon. It is. Wow. He looks that's hilarious. He looks like actually like a more of like a musician, like rock star.
So they've been doing music since, and pretty steadily, like no real big breaks since like 2001. They've had albums pretty much every 2 years. And then we got a couple guys that I don't think have any albums and are kind of more hobbyists, but you got Conan O'Brien, decent guitar player, and Bill Burr, the comedian, decent drummer. We added Jared Leto here. Obviously, he's from 30 Seconds to Mars. That's how I always knew him. And then I guess he had a pretty big film. I mean, I know he has a pretty big film career now, but I don't know where he started or how that worked. But a lot of people know him from, I think, did everyone start to really know who he was when it was around when he did the Joker? Is that accurate to say?
I mean, personally, that's when I found out.
Because that's when, like, I knew who he was,
but I didn't even
that's
know.
when I started realizing, like, oh, everyone is talking about this guy now.
The thing is, at that point, I personally didn't know his band or him. And so
you never heard 30 Seconds to Mars songs growing up? You probably heard their songs. Like, early 2000s, they were, like, all over the radio.
Yeah, there was one song of theirs that I knew, but I didn't know it at that time.
Take me home,
But
bury me. It's a crazy song, like really good singer. But there were several songs in like high school and earlier that I really liked by that band, and then didn't really connect the dots till later that who he was. But anyway, that's interesting.
Yeah. Next, we got Jack Black. This one probably a little better known. He's pretty musical in his movies, but he also did Tenacious D with a friend of his, and they've been doing that almost his whole career.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff too.
So Jack Black is singer, guitar player, one of the more known mix into musician actors, but we still wanted to mention it.
Yeah, this one surprised me. This one's Ryan Gosling. He's part of a rock duo called Dead Man's Bones with him and Zach Shields. They started kind of in the late 2000s. And that just kind of, I mean, it looks like he plays bass and sings. Yeah, he plays a little bit of everything: bass, guitar, piano. Oh. And the other guy he's with does the drums. So I guess the two of them kind of do the duo thing. And that surprised me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Then we got Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, is his music alias. And he's pretty successful music career alongside his acting career. He's had some. Yeah,
we were
albums.
Talking about him before we went live here, and I think he started acting. Like one of his first movies was like 2008 or 8 or 9 or so, and then the first album for Childish Gambino was 2011. I think I remember it going that way myself because I remember seeing movies with him in it about that time, and then seeing, oh, that's that guy. He's doing music now. Like that's cool. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
So I guess he did acting before. He also has a stand-up special that's pretty good. Like he's kind of just in entertainment in general. He's a pretty talented dude, and he went on to play Han Solo in Solo, which is pretty cool. Not Han Solo, Lando.
Yeah, he's like our discount Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, getting into a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
After that, we got Hugh Laurie, British bloke. He's House from the show House. He does like really cool blues music, and I remember I discovered this because I was watching an episode of House, and in the episode, the character's fiddling around on the guitar, and I'm hearing the guitar, and I'm watching him play it. And I'm like, oh, he's actually playing that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone's in a show is playing guitar, and I can immediately tell if they're playing what I'm hearing or not. And it's just so annoying when I'm like, they're not even anywhere close to what I'm hearing. Like,
yeah.
But I'm watching Hugh Laurie, and it wasn't just like strum, sing, sing. No, he's just sitting there noodling like blues licks, like woo diddle woo diddle, just like little stuff. And I'm watching, I'm like, he's actually playing that. Like that is exactly what I'm hearing. Watching his hands move. And so from there, I was like, so he plays guitar. Like he's not just like, this is not just like some guy strumming some chords. Like he's doing like some solos and leads and stuff. So that's when I went digging in and found out he's got albums and music, and he's got a really nice voice. I really like his. It's kind of an old bluesy style that's really nice. So
yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
Yeah, good stuff.
I want to say that I've heard a song of his. Like I want to say that somehow
I probably showed you some.
I've gone into some kind of dive, and I've heard a song by his. But I want to say I know the same episode you're talking about where he's messing around on guitar. And I was thinking the same thing, like, oh,
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember liking some episodes of that show were fantastic.
Nicole still puts House on now and again, so that's why I was like, I still walk down and see it, and I feel like I saw that recently. But all right, next, this one you told me about somewhat recently. In fact, it might have popped up on one of our episodes, but
I think it did. So from the 2001, the Jim Carrey Grinch?
I believe so. It was super early on that one.
So Cindy Lou Who in that, the little cute girl, has since obviously grown up. Her name's Taylor Momsen, and she's the lead singer for the rock band The Pretty Reckless. So go check her out and what she's up to. She's doing lots of cool stuff. They're a pretty big band. They do a lot of festivals and things like that. I don't know what else she's done acting wise, but she kills it in that band. And most people, this is interesting. I think most people don't really make that connection. So that's kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Carrie Brownstein and Fred Armisen. Most people know Fred Armisen. I feel like he's been on SNL and he's pretty big comedian. He partnered with Carrie Brownstein, one of his best friends, to do the show Portlandia, which was a pretty good like sketch kind of show, very like avant-garde and silly and funny. And the two of them have a band and do music together, which is kind of fun. It's kind of like indie stuff. Fred plays drums. Carrie sings and does other stuff. Fred put out a special on I think it's on Netflix, where it's like stand up for drummers, and it was free admission. All you had to do was play a paradiddle to get in.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that's how he ensured that like only people were there that kind of knew something about drums. And then he just proceeded to do a bunch of jokes about drums and drummers and things like that. And it's a really funny special if you like drums. This is one I added right before we went live because I just remembered it. But Johnny Strong, he's an actor in Hollywood. He's done some stuff, but I think most notably he's been in like some Fast and Furious movies and stuff. He's part of a band. It's him and some, I guess some hired guns around him called Operator. You have to go listen to that album. The album's called Soul Crusher. Mm-hmm. And the reason I tell you to go listen to this is because he is Chris Cornell's doppelganger.
Really?
In vocals. You will swear to God you're listening to Chris Cornell.
That is Chris Cornell.
Your jaw will drop and you call me crazy that it's not Chris Cornell. It is unbelievable how much this guy sounds like.
What am I
Chris
looking
Cornell.
up? I got to look this up right now.
Band's called Operator. Soul
Operator?
Crusher. It's like in the album's called Soul Crusher, one word. Yeah, listen to Soul Crusher or Delicate. Both of those songs are fantastic.
I'm just going to real quick just like listen to a quick audio.
Play the song Soul Crusher and skip to like, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds in. And then wait till he gets up. While you do that, I'm going to continue here.
Yeah, you continue. I got to hear this if it's...
All right. After this, we added Scarlett Johansson, who actually, this one surprised me a lot. I did not know she did music until pretty recently, but she has a music career. And her discography, she's got 2 studio albums, 4 EPs, 4 singles. Her first studio album was in 2008. Says reviews of the album were mixed or average. There's nothing particularly compelling about Scarlett Johansson singing. Come on, don't say that. Some people said it was surprisingly alluring. Yeah, as far as chart-wise, moderate success on both of these. Probably both due to the fact that she's a pretty famous actress.
Oh my gosh.
I think Ashton's discovering Chris Cornell over there.
I have so many goosebumps. Holy crap, dude. He sounds just like they're... oh my. I can't even distinguish the two apart other than like the high vocal is the only thing that like slightly has some variance, but oh my, that is crazy.
Right?
Sorry guys, you gotta go. If you like Chris Cornell, like definitely go check that out. That is exactly, even all the comments on YouTube were like, sounds like Chris Cornell.
Yeah, everybody commenting that's like, I'm going to say something no one else thought of. It's like, we all thought it.
All right, real quick. You said Scarlett has 2 albums?
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Just singing? What was
I guess, yeah.
I wonder what kind of music it is.
I think it's probably just poppy, maybe acoustic-y type stuff.
Gotcha.
I have not heard it myself. But now we're on Russell Crowe.
Hey, what's he do? A little guitar?
Just sings.
Oh,
sings,
sing?
yeah. I mean, most of these guys are going to be just singers, I imagine, with maybe a little bit of guitar or something. But yeah, so that's one most people might not know. Stephen King, another one. He plays guitar, and we looked it up before to confirm, and it just said he's like aggressively average and not very good.
Yeah. But still gets a shout out.
He does play.
Does play.
Now, Michael Cera is another guy on here that we added as for a quick shout out as an honorable mention. Because I had no idea he did music. He's done a few different things. I think he plays bass, mandolin, like little things like that. He's got bass player energy too. He's been on a Weezer song. He's a member of the band The Long Goodbye, along with Clark Duke, who you might know from The Office, some other stuff. Chevy Chase. What do we know about him?
Yeah, I was just looking it up. I keep seeing that he did like a video or You Can Call Me Al with Paul Simon. But that's like the only musical thing I can see. Oh, I wonder if this was an SNL skit. Or it was, oh no. So right here on Paul Simon's YouTube, his official, it says Paul Simon, You Can Call Me Al official video, and it's got Chevy Chase in it. Why?
I'm not seeing where he actually does music himself.
Yeah, I don't think he does. It just associates him with
scratch him.
He was not
no
supposed
longer
to. Yeah.
receives an honorable mention on the Melomaniax podcast.
Yep, he's just mouthing the words. Okay, well, he mouthed the words to a Paul Simon song. That's pretty musical, right?
That's pretty musical. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't get any bigger than that.
I know. Peak.
Macaulay Culkin was on here. I don't know what he does other than maybe like some hobbyist stuff. I didn't realize he's his partner is Brenda Song. That's sweet.
Oh, she was on something recently.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I can't remember what it was, but I was like, hey, old Disney star. What is his
David Lynch, the director.
Oh, it's him. Okay. I didn't know the name immediately. That's right. Okay.
But he's got some stuff too. He's a film director and musician, but he's got 3 studio albums, 6 soundtracks. I think maybe don't count as much, but it's cool when you have a big director that does music too. I think. So he's got two main studio albums. One of them, I mean, number 3, number 5, like they did okay. So all sorts of good stuff there.
Yep, and then
he's also got really good movies. Gone Girl's awesome. The last few here, we'll run through them pretty quickly. We got Tim Robbins,
singing.
Maya Rudolph.
Yep.
Jason Schwartzman, Billy Bob Thornton, and of course, Will Smith. Will Smith actually, I believe, started his career as a musician and then moved into
I think he had 2
acting
albums
from there.
I think Will had 2.
Might have even had more than that.
Did he? He did. He just came out with one. What?
I thought so. I thought I remember hearing something about that.
What the hell? Yeah, he has 5 albums. He had one in 97, then 99, 2002, 2005, and then he 20 years later just dropped one in 2025. Interesting. I didn't know that.
There you go.
Awesome.
Well, that's our list for today. That's all the honorable mentions in the top 10 that we came up with. If you like what you're hearing, you want to get more weird music history and episodes like this, bonus episodes that won't be heard anywhere else, backstage pass to the show to get all sorts of perks like early access to episodes, hop in our Discord community, all that and more for $5 a month at patreon.com/melomaniax. Check that out. Help us keep the show alive. Join the crew today. That's our pitch for that. We've recently revamped that, and we got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. So appreciate you guys being here with us. Any closing thoughts today, Ashton?
Nope. It's been fun. Learned a couple things. And
that's what's up.
We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you guys next week.